A strong work culture is the invisible force that binds employees to each other, to the company, and to their work. It's linked to better business outcomes, happier employees, and increased retention. How we work and where we work continue to evolve in almost every way, yet our human need for connection and purpose remains. Help your employees connect and thrive by evolving your culture to support your team, regardless of how or where they work. So discover how the Kindling Culture Agency can transform your company's culture at sparkssomethingbig.com. That's the Kindling Culture Agency at sparkssomethingbig.com.
Compunetics is the leading developer of unified voice, video, and data collaboration and conferencing applications for the service provider, government, and unique workflow applications. The Summit Olympus and Evergreen platforms, driven by their encrypted user interfaces, enable powerful and secure collaboration. Combined with world-class support and innovative professional services, Compunetics delivers the right solution every time. Learn more at compunetics.com. This is TechVibe Radio, your front row seat to Pittsburgh's technology and innovation ecosystem. TechVibe is brought to you by Compunetics at compunetics.com, Chorus Call at choruscall.com, Highmark at highmark.com, Huntington Bank at huntington.com, Kindling at thekindlingagency.com, PNC Bank at pnc.com, and Savier at savier.com. Here are your hosts, Audrey Russo and Jonathan Kersting of the Pittsburgh Technology Council, coming at you from the Huntington Bank studios.
So glad you woke up super early and dialed us in here for TechVibe Radio. Audrey, the dust is still kind of settling from the Energy and AI Summit just the past week. It's been kind of crazy. I mean, the Tech Council, we played a really big role in organizing that event. We were really happy to be able to help that whole thing come together. And you were there all day long. I was not. So I want to know what the heck happened. and I think our listeners do as well, too. I think you could probably give an insight as to what do you think some of the key takeaways that are really going to happen? Because there's a lot of announcements. I think a lot of hype, but I think a lot of real things are going to come out of it. So have you come up for air yet?
Yeah, it's all good. You know, listen, it was an action-packed day that was developed by Senator Dave McCormick, and he immediately, upon his service back in January, said, I'm going to do something. I want to do something around energy. I want to do something around innovation. And I think there's a lot of opportunity across Pennsylvania. And as most people know, that he's from Washington County, has deep love for southwestern Pennsylvania, but he is serving all of Pennsylvania and is saying that we need to really unleash our assets. And his belief is that we haven't unleashed our assets enough in energy. And he said, if we don't unleash that, we're going to miss opportunities for innovation, and particularly in artificial intelligence, just because of data centers and hyperscalers and what's needed.
It takes a ton of energy to run a data center.
What's needed
for sure.
Immediately, not necessarily in the long run, but immediately. So he puts together this summit, and hats off to him. He gave his wife, Dina, all the credit, said it really was her idea. Awesome. And if you don't know who Dina is, you should look her up, because she, in her own right, has quite a, formidable
I didn't
business
know that.
acumen.
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm learning something new. That's awesome.
She's really
very cool.
Yeah, what a good couple they are in terms of complementary. He gave her credit all day. She moderated a panel. She's
awesome.
She's been very involved in the business community and at executive level, sits on boards, et cetera. But what was really terrific was that McCormick's team really amassed a lot of the relationships that Dave has had over the course of his 30 plus years of career. Dave went to West Point. He worked at McKinsey. He worked at Bridgewater Capital. He was the CEO of Free Markets for a little while as they sold to Ariba. Yep. And so he's had his hands in business for most of his career. And he is a very huge advocate for understanding how do you create easier routes for people to do business, and that Pennsylvania shouldn't be a state that is not ranked high for welcoming business and being an easy place to do business. So his belief is, the hypothesis of this summit, and his belief is that if we unleash the energy assets that we have here, and it's across every domain of energy.
Yeah, it's in all the above, just like we're exploring in our Under It magazine. Absolutely, yeah.
Right. And if we can exploit that, and if we can get those kind of investments that will put us at, it's not even as an advantage, just really get us on the map so that people know that we have these assets here. That will begin the flywheel for people who want to come to Pittsburgh and across Pennsylvania to invest, because you need those kind of assets as you're building businesses. Doesn't matter what kind of business you are today, because you need access to this. You could be a dry cleaner. You could be a movie theater. You
absolutely.
could be, you can't just think of it as quote unquote big public companies. It's all companies need access to this kind of infrastructure. So he brings all these people in, the president of ExxonMobil, the Secretary of Commerce, the Secretary of Treasury,
so who's who,
cabinet
making the
members.
world run,
He brings in Alex Karp of Palantir. He brings, we can go through the whole list and set the day with a whole bunch of panels. Even Governor Shapiro came in late in the morning to talk about Pennsylvania, sat on a panel.
And what I love is with Shapiro being there, I mean, it was actually, you could see both sides of the aisle were actually kind of coming together.
Well, this is McCormick's thesis. This is really McCormick's thesis, is that he always reminds everyone that he lost by only 15, he won by only 15,000 votes. And he's saying, so obviously I need to be bipartisan, right? Which is a really cool
I love that.
way to think about what your constituents want and who they are.
Yeah.
So he's very much reaches across the aisle on most things business. I mean, I'm really just talking about economic development, prosperity, business. I'm not talking about social issues. And even though prosperity and business, equate to social issues and opportunities. So he, sets the day, has a series of panels, all different people talking, cast of characters of people who are highly opinionated, it's all sitting in the backdrop of Carnegie Mellon, where there's lots of, obviously, if you don't know that there's innovation there, shame on you.
Exactly.
But they are, what the big takeaways from the day are, wow, we've been left behind. We didn't it's really like shocking in your face when you think about how we are left behind.
We have all these assets, but we're actually behind.
Right. We're really behind.
Shocking. Very shocking, for sure.
And that the fact of ease of permitting and regulations and those things are going to be critical to make sure that we can move quickly. And these initiatives are not quick initiatives. When you think about energy, it doesn't just plop up overnight. So we collectively, constituents and elected officials, have to really work hard to make sure that there's community engagement, people are cognizant, they're not afraid, because there's a huge amount of fear in terms of what AI is. There are some people who are saying, the CEO of Anthropic, I think, said, it could be in 5 years we'll have a 20% unemployment rate. If you think about the Great Depression, it was 24% unemployment rate. To those who are like Palantir saying, no, we're going to have people doing different things. People doing different things, different kind of jobs, and jobs that we never thought of, right?
Yeah,
so you
100%.
have,
It's like
you have two sides of this coin. And I'm a believer that we're going to go through a period of time. We're going to have a little bit of a hiatus on some hiring, just because people are, a little bit hesitant. What does it mean with tariffs? What does it mean with manufacturing?
Lots of uncertainty out there.
There's a lot of uncertainty. But I do think that we're at an opportunity for innovation to make its way in the hands of almost anyone. And so that people will have tools that you could be in high school and you could have tools and you could build businesses.
You can build actual, it's amazing.
So that piece is really amazing. So how do we proliferate the values of entrepreneurship, the values of building? And so that was a lot of my takeaway. And there's just a lot of fear, from the educational institutions about what do they do? How are they teaching people? How does
disrupting so much that it puts them in a state of like, what do we do next?
Now, Google announced that they're going to make sure, and they made a huge investment in hydro, And Google also said that they were going to make sure that anyone that was in business in the state of Pennsylvania would have free access to all their AI.
That's awesome.
Teachings and learning, including, public schools.
Very cool. What I found really interesting about this summit was how I think it dovetailed perfectly to the Energy and Innovation Summit that we had back.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like we started and unraveled it. It was great.
Absolutely, because I knew it was following up and going into even more depth. The first strokes that we made, at the summit back in March. So I feel like there's a lot of momentum here. And when you see someone like McCormick, really getting behind this and wanting to solve these problems to set the playing field to where we can grow, I think the opportunity here is just tremendous. It has me very excited. And of course, it's going to change a bunch as time moves on because the market keeps changing. But I think the fact that there's focus on that is really cool. And I'm just going to throw it out there right now. I couldn't be more proud of the Tech Council and the work that our team has done
just
in order
incredible.
to set the stage on that. I
Incredible.
think it's just been amazing. So my hat's off to you and our Brian Kennedy here, who
really
were behind the scenes trying to make this a successful event.
And trying to make sure that all these leaders who have come into Pittsburgh understand
exactly
that who is here
and
who is working on what.
To really show the depth of some of the talent and resources that we do have here. So great stuff. So much fun, like being able to see this happen. I said, I was not on the list. I only got to see the protesters afterwards when I was riding my bike through Oakland.
I got your bike to navigate through.
I was cutting through and they were taking some of the fencing down, but the protesters were still there doing their thing. So
it's a free country.
It's a free country. I'm all about it, but that's all I got to see was some of the protesters.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, hey guys, how you doing? Be you. Audrey, I was really excited. One of our key members at the Tech Council, Concurrent Technologies Corporation, we call them CTC. And we actually just had an Explore the Floor out there
in Johnstown.
In Johnstown, bringing some of our members out there to look at some of the things that CTC is working on. And they do some tremendous work when it comes to defense and keeping our troops
for a long
safe.
time.
They've been doing this since the 80s. And they've been a long-time member of the council, I think, ever since then. And I got to hang out with their CEO, Ed Sheehan. And he's an amazing guy, super nice guy. And they really gave me a deep dive of all deep dives when it comes to what they're working on. And it blew my mind. I was so excited. So I'm going to play for a snippet. And I say snippet, we'll have like 7-8 minutes of my conversation. But I had about a 30-minute talk with them. I think any of our listeners out there should go and listen to the whole podcast. You can find that on our website, or of course in pghtech.org, or wherever you get your podcast. Just look for TechVibe. You will see our Concurrent Technologies Corporation. I think you'll be pretty proud of the work that's going on out there and some of the talent that's happening out there in Johnstown. To me, was just absolutely amazing. So do you want to take a listen to some of my conversation? Because Ed says hello.
Ed is great.
And but I got to actually talk to him, Audrey. I had a ton of fun. Check out this chunk right here.
I am president and CEO at Concurrent Technologies Corporation. I've been an employee here for over 32 years. Have been the CEO since 2008, and have had my professional career really focusing in areas of technology and technology development, technology utilization. Grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, moved to Western Pennsylvania back in 1990, and have been here ever since. So it's been a great run, and we really enjoy what we do at CTC. We have some of the best people that you'll ever find, most innovative type of people, and really committed to the work that we do.
Absolutely. And tell us about yourself. A rumor has it you've got some cool stories to tell, but that might be for a separate podcast.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having us. Yeah, this is my 18th year at CTC. I'm the vice president of the Engineering and Advanced Manufacturing Division. Previous to that, I spent 28 years in the United States Navy and naval aviation, which was enjoyable and some cool stories, as you suggest. And I grew up outside of our rival city, Cleveland, Ohio. So,
I'm glad you're here in the Pittsburgh, Johnstown area doing what you. That is fantastic. So to get things rolling, Ed, I really want you to tell me, just give our listeners really the good elevator pitch for what Concurrent Technologies is. Like I said, I kind of gave that generic thing, but you can give us the full color, high def version of what CTC is all about.
Yeah. So our mission as an organization is to develop and deliver advanced technology-based solutions that protect national security, preserve the U.S. technological advantage, and strengthen American manufacturing, because we know that's such a critical part of our economy. And when we talk about national security, we think about defense systems and protecting our nation's borders and things like that. But it's also very important to have a strong economy, a vibrant economy. And so manufacturing jobs are very important because you're building things, but it also has spin-off jobs. And so for every manufacturing job that's created, there are spin-off jobs. And economists estimate that there may be 6 spin-off jobs for every 1 manufacturing job. So not only do we want to work on, making our weapon systems perform better to help increase lethality, increase survivability for the benefit of our warfighters. We never want to fight their fight. We always want to maintain that clear superiority for the benefit of our warfighter. But you also want to have a strong economy that, as we continue to grow as a nation, it's both of those things. So we're pleased to participate in both of those areas.
We're glad you're participating in those areas. Not just participating, you guys are making a difference. And really, I think you're driving something that people are recognizing and being like, this is something that has to keep growing and needs to be continually invested. I'm curious, how many folks work at CTC? You have a cadre of people out there. I've visited a few times and I'm always like a campus out there for crying out loud.
We have about 500 employees. And we have folks located certainly here in Western Pennsylvania, but we have people all around the country. We have offices primarily in the East. We're in Johnstown. We're in the National Capital Region near some of the major government installations, both at the national security level as well as the Department of Defense. And then we have offices in Huntsville, Alabama, Panama City, Florida, and some other locations. And we have folks that are on base, on bases and other government installations. And then we have people that just live all around the nation that contribute to our overall technical capability. So these are folks that can work from home. And we really appreciate the fact that we're able to pull expertise from all around the country and serve the needs of our organization.
That's amazing. I didn't realize how far out that you spread like that. That is news to me. I knew you had like lots of people. I didn't realize how you're able to do that in different parts of the country like that. One of the biggest things that we love is your connection to Pittsburgh. There's such a deep tie there. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Naturally, the connection to Pittsburgh is critical. I think we started in 1987 and shortly thereafter became a member of the Pittsburgh Tech Council. And, we clearly, when we started, we were actually a subsidiary of the University of Pittsburgh Trust. And so for a long, long time, we've had a strong relationship with Pittsburgh and its business leaders and educational and academic leadership. So that's always been important to us. And we appreciate that. And I think the folks that we work with in the Pittsburgh community appreciate the things that we do. We also have a very strong relationship with the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown. A number of our employees have come from the Pitt system, as well as Penn State and other major universities throughout the region.
That's impressive. And I'm assuming, obviously, so much has to have changed since 1987 as to how you operate. What has the change been? I mean, obviously, during your tenure and during Tim's tenure for 18 years, I'm sure much has changed just to adapt and evolve to how the world has changed, right?
It really is. You think back to the late 80s and the internet was not really around and the web was not around. And so people were doing business much differently. And the types of problems that we were challenged and faced with were different because at that point, we were still just in the final phases of the Cold War. So a lot of the national strategy was around how do you defend our nation in the midst of this Cold War. And then the wall fell and a lot of things changed. And then we went through a significant defense reduction, a reduction in defense spending, the peace dividend it was referred to. And that made it a challenge for a lot of the defense industry. And we saw a lot of consolidation. And so what we tried to do is continue to look long-term, look at what was happening in technology development. What are the kind of things that universities were investing in and the types of technology that they were developing and how might we incorporate that as an applied R&D into solving not only the problems that people saw on the horizon, but beyond the horizon. And that's always what we've I think that's one of the reasons why we're so innovative is we have such talented people that can see that far into the future to determine what are the kind of things that we're going to be facing in the future from our adversaries and in some cases from within our nation. What are the kind of things that we have to protect against? And so that has really been the evolution, but I really credit our employees for how much they can change and how they see the future.
Like I said, CTC doing some really great work. And I just encourage everybody out there, seriously, listen to the entire story. There is just more detail going on in there to realize that these are the men and women that are keeping our country safe, that are keeping you and I safe, Audrey, that, they're working on some pretty neat stuff. I mean, everything from putting together nuclear sites to, and everything in between. There's no limit to what they don't work on there. It's cool.
It's great.
Yeah.
Thanks to Murtha.
Murtha's what set them on the stage. Jack Murtha, back in the day. Absolutely. They still have his defense expo out there every year,
wow.
if I'm not mistaken.
They should.
And I remember back in the day when he was alive, they always had the pancake breakfast.
I wasn't here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But a long time ago, they always had him. He would walk
What
through.
a legend.
And that man met with everybody on the floor.
What
He
a
was
legend.
definitely a legend and did so much good work to do what they're doing out there now. So Audrey, thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Absolutely.
Fun stuff. I don't know where summer's going, but it's going by fast. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow, and I'll probably see you next Sunday as well, too. So everybody have an awesome weekend. Go to pghtech.org. Check out all the ways we love helping tech companies succeed.
Thanks for geeking out with us on TechVibe Radio. Tune in next Sunday for more tech and innovation stories right here from Pittsburgh. TechVibe is brought to you by Compunetics at Compunetics.com, Chorus Call at ChorusCall.com, Highmark at Highmark.com, Huntington Bank at Huntington.com, Kindling at TheKindlingAgency.com, PNC Bank at PNC.com, and Savior at Savior.com. And we're always coming at you from the Huntington Bank Studio.